Good evening. I'd like to call this June 4th meeting of the Pinetop-Lakeside Town Council to order. Before we get started, I just want to welcome everybody tonight. It feels good to be back to some little semblance of normalcy. I appreciate that everybody's patience with us as we navigated through these difficult times. Councilor Hastings is on the phone. The rest of our council is here, and we are doing our best to keep the social distance. At this time, I would like to ask you to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Keith, go ahead.
Our Heavenly Father, we do humbly come before Thee to thank Thee for this opportunity that we have to gather as a town council to discuss and to vote on things of importance to our community. We are thankful for Thy blessings and thankful that in many ways that we have been spared in different degrees that through this COVID-19 pandemic, we recognize Thy hand and pray for Thy continued blessings upon our community, upon our businesses, and upon our citizens. We pray for comfort and strength for those that have become ill and that may have lost loved ones. We pray that they may find solace through Thee. We ask that the effects of this pandemic will be controlled and that life and the economy will be able to be strengthened and be able to return back to normal. We ask for Thy blessings upon each of our council as they serve, and ask Thy blessings be upon them. We say these things humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Keith. Item B on the agenda is call to the public. This is a business meeting of the town council. The town values and welcomes public input. Please address the council as a whole, as not individual council members. Do not address staff or members of the audience. Council action on items brought up and called to the public is limited by the open meeting law. The council may direct staff to study the matter and reschedule for further consideration at a later date. And items on the agenda are not heard and called to the public. Individuals are limited to 3 minutes. Jill, do we have anybody? I do. Yes, thank you. Oh, I knew that. I forgot.
I received an email from Mr. Kenny Hale. Mr. Hale owns a home in Lakeside and desired to participate in call to the public at this meeting. But Mr. Hale is currently in California and unable to leave the state due to the restrictions of COVID-19. He is concerned about election interference and asks that his comments be provided to the mayor, council members, and town staff and entered into the town minutes of this meeting. I've given each of you a copy and staff, and there are copies available for the public to pick up.
Thank you, Jill. Anything else? Okay, all right, thank you. Then we will go ahead and move on to item C, which is the consent agenda. All items listed in the consent agenda are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion of the council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of town council requests that an item or items be removed for discussion. Council members may ask questions without removal of the item, and items are considered in their normal sequence as listed on the agenda unless called out of sequence. We do have 2 items on the consent agenda tonight. One of them is the minutes from our previous meeting. At the end of the last meeting, we had an item for updates from the manager and the mayor, and there was a question asked about the status of the Rowland Lake Park acquisition. Councilor Rowland expressed that her concern that we might be violating the open meeting law because it was not agendized. We did consult with our town attorney, and he said that as long as there is no discussion, according to the open meeting law, presiding officer, chief administrator, or member of a public body may present a brief summary of current events without listing in the agenda the specific matters to be discussed. And the public body does not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take legal action. So his interpretation is that we can give a summary of current events, which could include a COVID update and Rowland Lake update, as long as the general update item was on the agenda. So we have added that update to our minutes from the last meeting. I would like to thank Councilor Bowen for bringing that up because we do need to be very aware of how we are proceeding with our meetings. So at this time, I would entertain a motion. Vice Mayor?
Yes, I move that we approve the consent agenda with the added paragraph on the question to the town manager.
I second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the consent agenda. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. Councilor Hastings?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries unanimously. Item D is business before the council. Public comment will be taken at the beginning of each agenda item after the subject has been announced by the mayor and explained by staff. Any citizen who wishes may speak one time for 5 minutes on each agenda item before or after council discussion. Questions from council members, however, may be directed to staff or a member of the public through the mayor at any time. Item D1 tonight is the proclamation for the 245th birthday of the United States Army. And I've asked Councilor Spencer, who is an Army veteran, to read that proclamation tonight. Councilor Spencer.
Thank you, Mayor. As a proud member of the 501st Admin Company, I'm happy to read this. Proclamation, Town of Pinetop-Lakeside. Whereas on June 14, 1775, the Second Continental Congress, representing the citizens of 13 American colonies, authorized the establishment of the Continental Army. And whereas the collective expression of the pursuit of personal freedom that caused the authorization and organization of the United States Army led to the adoption of the Declaration of Independence and the codification of the new nation's basic principles and values in the Constitution. And whereas for the past 245 years, the U.S. Army's central mission has been to fight and win the nation's wars. And whereas the motto of duty, honor, country is the creed by which the American soldier lives and serves. And whereas no matter what the cause, location, or magnitude of future conflicts, the nation can rely on the U.S. Army to produce well-trained, well-led, and highly motivated soldiers to carry out the missions entrusted to them. And whereas the components of the U.S. Army, to include the Arizona Army National Guard, the U.S. Army Reserves, and the regular Army, have contributed immensely to COVID-19 response. And whereas members of the town of Pinetop-Lakeside have proudly served and made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation's freedom while serving in the United States Army and other branches of our nation's military. Now, therefore, I, Stephanie Irwin, Mayor of the town of Pinetop-Lakeside, do hereby proclaim June 14th, 2020 to be the United States Army's 245th birthday, and express appreciation on behalf of the people of the town of Pinetop-Lakeside to the United States Army and to the dedicated soldiers who have served in it over the 245 years it has been in existence. And in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the town of Pinetop-Lakeside, Arizona. Stephanie Irwin, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilor Spencer, and thank you for your service. It's much appreciated. Item D2 on the agenda is a recognition of our outgoing Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee members, MIAC. We have 3 young ladies who are graduating and moving on. Unfortunately, we only have one of them here, but we do have plaques for all 3 of them. So I'm going to talk about the other 2 first, and then we'll get to you since you're here. Megan Lawler graduated from Blue Ridge High School in the top 10% of the class of 2020 and is a member of the National Honor Society. She will be attending Colorado State University studying equine science, and she plans to become a large animal vet. So we're very proud of Megan and look forward to hearing from her. Skylar Rigg graduated from Blue Ridge High School as a salutatorian for the class of 2020. Skylar is a member of the National Honor Society and the National Music Honor Society. She will be attending BYU with an interest in English and humanities. And we're very proud of Skylar. I know that both of these young ladies were also involved in a lot of other things as well. And tonight we have with us Paige Blake, who graduated from Blue Ridge High School as one of the valedictorians for the class of 2020. Congratulations to you. Paige is a member of the National Honor Society and the National Music Honor Society. She will be attending BYU Provo in the fall, studying either political science or law. So you're gonna follow some of their dad's footsteps, huh? Maybe? Anyway, I would like to present you with a plaque, and would you like to say anything about your plans, or you don't have to?
I don't know.
Okay. It says a grateful recognition to Paige Flake for your dedication and service to the town of Pinetop-Lakeside Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. So I'll come present it to you and hand it to you from a distance.
I won't throw it.
Just throw it at me.
No,
Frisbee. Anyway, thank you very much for everything. We wish you luck. And if you choose to let us know how you're doing, we'd love to hear from you.
I will definitely do that.
And congratulations to your parents, too.
Congratulations.
I'm more impressed with the valedictorian thing. I like smart women.
Absolutely. Thank you. Item D3 is consider the approval of resolution number 20-1552 to approve a permanent easement on parcel number 212-31-007 Lakeside Cemetery to accommodate emergency vehicles. We have our Public Works Director, Matt, on the phone. Are you there, Matt?
Yes, good evening, Mayor. Can you guys all hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Mayor and Council, this is just a very simple cleaning up. I know there's some history here, and some of you guys know of the history. There was a tragic accident where we had a lady that lost her life behind the cemetery due to a fire. And recently, there has been a homeowner that would like to build, or an owner that would like to build on their land, but due to that accident, there was no way to get emergency response down Wynn Way and onto their property. As you guys can see, if you could turn to the page with the map that was produced by Woodson Engineering. I added this to your packet because I wanted you to see what we're giving up and why we're doing that. As of right now, the road is wide enough for an emergency vehicle to go through there. The problem is it's not a legal road. So for the homeowner behind the cemetery to be able to build or work on their property, this easement needs to be granted so that the fire department has a permanent easement, and we can't block that. My outlook on this is that it's no harm to the cemetery, and the road that exists there now, it's already gravel, it's already there. We just are cleaning it up so that everything is legal for the fire department to use it as needed.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Go ahead.
If you're good.
Did you have something else you want to say?
No, the two pieces of easement that we'll be giving up is the corner on Belinda Lane, that 20-foot by 20-foot chamfer, and then right at the end of Gwynn Way, the 75 by 15-foot.
It's pretty minor.
And I guess I can take any questions that are,
Council, are
if
there any
there's any
questions?
questions.
Any questions for Matt?
I'll make a motion.
Hang on a second. Councilor Hastings, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Bowen?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead, thank you.
I move to approve resolution number 20-1552 to approve a permanent easement on parcel number 212-31-007 Lakeside Cemetery to accommodate emergency vehicles to access properties adjacent to Belinda Lane and Gwynn Way, and authorize the town manager to execute all documents necessary.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor Spencer, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 20-1552. Further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Councilor Hastings? Thank you, that carries unanimously. Item D, thank you, Matt, appreciate you being there.
Thank you, Mayor.
Item D4 is considered resolution number 20-1553, approving a one-year extension to the agreement of town attorney services with Sims Mackin Limited and authorizing the town manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the town. Keith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Council, welcome back. It's been a little lonely down here without you.
It was lonely.
Yes, it was really at our houses too.
It was lonely. For those that have been sheltering in place, I know my wife's always very happy to see me when I come home at night. You know, somebody to talk to, so it's been lonely. But it's good to have everybody back. Thank you. So tonight, you have before you a contract extension for our town attorney, Bill Sims. Bill has been the town attorney since August 2014. Not everybody has not everybody here has met Bill. But we know him best by phone and email, and he has been a valuable member of what I would term our team. He has given us wise counsel and advice, to the best. I mean, it's not always perfect. We sometimes find out afterwards that depends on the interpretation, but he's very respected, and we have enjoyed him, and he's been very quick to help us resolve issues and to give us advice. So staff recommends that you approve this contract extension. I wish we didn't have to remember to do this every year, but for whatever reason, it's set up on a yearly basis. So we'll keep on doing it.
Thank you, Keith. Are there any questions for Keith? No questions? Sorry, go ahead, Councilman.
Yes, I move to approve resolution number 20-1553, approving a one-year extension to the agreement for town attorney services with Sims Mackin Ltd. and authorizing the town manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the town.
I second the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 20-1553. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Councilor Hastings?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries unanimously. And somehow I don't have my amended agenda, but I know item D5 is a discussion on the White Mountain Balloon Festival. We'll turn it over to Tony.
Thank you, Mayor Rowland, Vice Chair Smith, members of the council. I'm here tonight just to give you an update on where we are in the planning of the third annual Hot Air Balloon Festival. I want to go back a couple of years. This event really had its growing pains in year one. Last year, I think we started to really find our sweet spot. We were expecting maybe 1,500 people over 3 days. We had between 5,000 and 7,000 people according to the estimates last year, so it was pretty special. We've been planning to do this event, as you know, it's scheduled for the end of June, 26th to 28th. The pandemic really shut down this town. Gosh, it's been almost 3 months. But an event of this magnitude doesn't happen overnight, so we have continued to plan as if the event will happen. We've been in touch with all of our sponsors, all of our vendors. They've been so gracious. We have lost one vendor since this started because his corporate office shut down all their activities. Everybody else is stuck in there with us, so I want to thank all the sponsors and vendors. Governor Doug Ducey has made it very clear that he's going to follow the reopening guidelines established by the White House and the CDC. It's a 3-phase process. We are in phase 1. Each phase lasts a minimum of 2 weeks, and we've been in phase 1 for 3.5, maybe 4 weeks now. Last week, Governor Ducey had a press conference and said, we're still in phase 1, we're very close to phase 2. He did another one today, we're still in phase 1, and he didn't say we're very close to phase 2. So what that means, I don't know. Before I go too much further, I want to share some graphics that Annie DeRozier was kind enough to put together. So this is a chart that shows average Arizona new cases per day, and you can see it's increasing. Now, granted, testing has increased as well, so this is not unexpected, but it does show a trend that there are new cases climbing every day. Off-tribal lands in Navajo County, you can see it's been rising. That last little dip where it's this week, the most current one, that it goes down a little bit, that does not represent a full week yet, so that's kind of a point in current time. But the cases have been going up off tribal lands here in the county. Summit Healthcare, you look at them and the new cases they've been reporting have been increasing substantially. The percentage of positive cases, and that's one of the key marks that the governor is looking at. You can see it's fallen, but in the last 3, 4, 5 days, you can see just a very slight increase in those positive tests. So that's not alarming, but it's something to be aware of. So if we consider all of these things, we don't see a path to be able to do this event successfully and safely at the end of this month. If you do a little bit of math and look at the calendar, even if we were to go into phase 2 tomorrow, it'll be early July, if it goes quickly, before we're out of phase 3, and at that point restrictions on the size of crowds are then removed. And that's unfortunate, so I'm here tonight to tell you that it is our recommendation as a staff that we not proceed with a full-blown festival with vendors and bands. And that's a heartbreaking and difficult decision for us, because our community has been hurting. The businesses have been hurting. We hear that every day, and we get that. We were hopeful that this would be a coming out party of sorts, but based on everything, the graphics I just shared with you, the governor's position, I don't think it's worth bucking the governor and doing whatever we want anyway. Who knows, we could lose state share revenues over that. I don't know. The legislature is a funny thing sometimes, so who knows what they would do. So it's our recommendation we not proceed with a full-blown festival. The news isn't all bad. We would still like to bring the pilots out here. We have 17 pilots. They have all agreed to continue to come out and fly their balloons each morning from Mountain Meadow Recreation Complex. I want to show you some images here. Oh, what happened? There we go.
I wonder if the public knows we're still in phase 1. It doesn't seem to be so.
That's a good question.
Where you go?
Good question.
Right,
I can't see my.
Yes.
Can't see.
And just while somebody's trying to find this graphic, last week the governor was asked, is the Prescott Rodeo, which is the world's oldest, is it going to go on? And he said, well, they're going to have a rodeo, but I can't tell you how many people are going to have.
Right.
Yeah. And so they're having restrictions in this, at least in the seats that they're selling, so they can create physical distancing. We can't do that with this. Everybody's going to be elbow to elbow, and we're trying to get it to be bigger and better. It was
I
crazy.
think everybody should hold their activities to the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah.
And there'll be plenty of people there. It's just so ludicrous. I'm so done with this. It
And
is
believe me,
just beyond, it's beyond even common sense anymore. That's just my 2 cents.
We've looked at a lot of different options. I even considered, and I talked to Keith about, let's limit the size of the crowd we allow in every day. Let's do 500, 600, 700 people, but that's not really fair to our vendors, because they're relying on a big crowd there. And I'm reminded of a conversation I had with one of our restaurant owners when the restaurants were closed down for dine-in, but they could still do takeout and delivery. I was in there picking up a pizza one night, shameless plug for Red Devil. And I asked Randy, I said, how's it going? And he said, you know, it's okay. Some nights are good, some nights are bad. But I wish the governor would either shut us down or let us open, because this halfway in between really isn't working for us. And I had a similar sense. That's why we didn't really consider limiting the size of the crowd that we would allow in. How do we accomplish it? Do we do a lottery? I don't know. And it's only halfway open. So we decided that wasn't the best way to go. I want to show you some shots, aerial shots, just a few.
Before you leave that, I think if we label it a protest, I think that we'd be just fine. Put it on Facebook and
Hire balloon
let's even
protest.
call it the Bowen protest, and everybody show up, and we won't be bothered. Right, Dan?
I want to show you some aerial shots from last year's morning launch, and I hope you can see them okay. You can see that there's a lot of people out there, but there's plenty of room. That's a good shot there that shows just how much space there is. Another one there. And then this was shot with a drone. There's a lot of space. You can see this field closest to us is virtually empty. So what we're proposing is that we do the morning balloon launch each day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. People can socially distance, they can come out to the park, they can watch from their homes, wherever they are. We think that is still a good way to keep the spirit of this event alive and bring a little bit of a lift, no pun intended, to this community, which we so badly need. Another thing we're looking at, we don't know exactly how it'll look yet. Doug Lenberg, our balloon meister, is coming out next week, is to do a drive-by balloon globe Saturday evening. I don't know if it will be all in one spot or throughout the town, but that's something we're going to look at, and I think that could be a really nice boost for our community. So
That would be good.
really nice. The balloon globes are very popular, so that's kind of where we're at. Again, I want to thank the patience and support of our sponsors and our vendors. I did send an email out to all of them this afternoon, letting them know we'd be doing a presentation this evening. The feedback has been very positive. So this is not a voting item. I basically just wanted to get input from all of you. Are we doing the right thing? So thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks for all your work. I would just like to say it's just heartbreaking because we've built this up and we've really got our momentum going. And I do understand your point of view, Councilor Bowen. My concern is I don't want us to be the epicenter of an outbreak.
I totally get that. I totally get that. But by the same token, you go into any commercial entity in the state of Arizona, I don't care if it's in the valley or if it's up here, and it's like there's nothing going on. Try to get out into the traffic. It is beyond the point of ludicrous, and I think or even to say that we would be the epicenter of a breakout, I don't see it. I don't see it. I understand where you're coming from, but I'm looking at these businesses in town, and they're suffering. They are suffering. And it'll get to a point here, if this goes on very much longer, where you're going to be laying off people. And that's exactly what I did not want to get to when we were in our budget process. So something's got to give here real quick, because these small business owners are on their back. They're on their back.
No question about that, and Annie and I have spoken numerous times with virtually every business owner in this town, so we're keenly aware of the suffering.
Aware of it, but they can't keep going very much longer.
It's a tough situation.
We're actually in more of a crisis now than we were a month ago. It's
I
bad.
understand.
I
It's
agree
bad.
with you. I agree with you. I'm just not willing to take that responsibility as a town to do an event this large. And I think that Tony's been creative in kind of working with some ways around it so that we can continue our momentum and provide some uplifting for our community too.
Well, we hope.
I hope so too. I hope so too. Now, I'd like to open it up for our council members to comment on things. Councilor Hastings, did you have anything? Go ahead.
I'm very proud of our council. I think it's important that we put humankind over the almighty dollar. It's not fun. I'm still in quarantine because I was exposed. I can tell you that it's a terrible ending of a life. If we lose one person from having this congregate group of people coming together, it's not worth it. We have to look to 2021 for a bigger and better balloon festival. It's a festival. It's not a matter of life and death, but it is, in this case, a matter of life and death. I hope the council will stand on not trying it this year.
Thank you, Councilor Hastings. I'm sorry?
We're not voting on anything.
No, it is not a vote. It is not a vote, yeah. Councilor Dahl.
Yes, Tony, thank you for coming up with, throwing the box out the window, as I like to say, and thinking of other things that you can do. And I understand. I mean, I'm with the Nature Center. We're also trying to be as creative as possible with different things. We're not open yet, but we do hope to be open soon. But we look at our budget and know that, money-wise, if this continues, we could be out of business by the end of the year.
Right.
Thank you, Councilor Dahl.
Yes.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I had a question about, you've been selling tickets, have you not, for rides and of that nature, things of that nature? So are you going to honor those if people have purchased those?
We actually have not been selling, thank you, Vice Mayor and Mayor, we've actually not been selling. The Pinetop-Lakeside Chamber came to us last summer about the idea of doing their bounce house carnival. They were going to sell wristbands to allow kids to go in and enjoy the bounce house. They pulled the plug on that event probably 2 months ago, so there have been no sales.
Okay, I'm talking about balloon rides.
No, we don't sell, the only people that get balloon rides are the sponsors. And in my email to the sponsors today, I gave them various options, and I will be in touch with every one of them by phone Monday, where they can either maintain their sponsorship and they will still go up on balloon rides this year. They can carry it forward to next year and just credit it, or they can ask for a refund and we will refund them in full. Does that answer your question?
I don't know. I still don't know.
I think what the Vice Mayor is referring to is at some of the nonprofit dinners we've raffled off, so we need to contact those.
Yes, we did raffle off.
I have one of those.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm sponsoring one of the crews. So I have one, I gave it to the senior center so that they could raffle it or sell it or whatever, but I don't know if that has any value now.
Well, it does. The senior center now can't postpone that event, so that won't happen before the balloon festival. However, we will honor that for next year if they so choose to raffle that, because they can't raffle it off in time, or maybe they can if they can find a creative way to do that. I do know that you did donate that to the senior center, so if they can find a way to do a raffle, we will honor that. We also donated 2 rides to the Safe House for their dinner. We will honor those as well, and I have the names of those winners. So we'll be in touch and they will all get to go up. All weather permitting, of course.
Okay. And I only have one comment on the activity. I really hate to see it cut back, but I did a little personal poll of some seniors that I have in my bridge group actually about getting together and playing cards, and about half of them said yeah, but about half of them said no, I don't think so. So I'm afraid that if we went ahead with the balloon festival, we might be really disappointed, and the vendors might be disappointed because of the turnout. I don't know that for sure, but I hate to see it. I hate to see it canceled. I really do.
And I do too. Believe me, this is heartbreaking for me. And I get what you're saying. With this issue, there's not a lot of middle ground. There's either you're out there and supporting things, or you're still moved up. So you make a great point. Who knows how many people we would get? And I was reminded by Birdman here, Rob Hefner, who's live streaming this on Facebook for us tonight. They're going to be live streaming this event, the morning Ascensions, to people who don't want to go out. They can log on and watch it on Facebook and at least get that experience of seeing the balloons go up, even though it's not in person. So thank you, Rob.
Yes. Thank you. Councilor Sitzer?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Tony. I know this had to be heart-wrenching for you. I believe you made the right decision. I think it must have been an incredibly hard decision. I know you poured your heart and soul into this. And, you know, it's, next year we'll kill them.
That's right.
I agree. I appreciate the comments. Thank you.
Councilor Greenwell, did you have anything to add?
I'd say exactly what Jim just said. I feel so proud of you for making what I feel is the right decision. But I know how difficult it is, and next year's another time.
That's right.
Well, thank you, and this is not my decision. We've all been talking about this, and we did want council to weigh in. We didn't want to make this decision in a vacuum, and even though it's not a voting item, I felt it was very important to make sure that that our leadership of this town was on board, so thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tony.
You bet.
We look forward to seeing them floating around, though. It's going to be quite the sight. Quite the sight. Okay. And I apologize, I don't have the updated agenda. That was our last item, right? Okay, thank you. If there are no other items tonight, then, again, everybody, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for your patience, and our meeting is adjourned.